And so there was this beautiful monastery that was built on a hill just below a mountain. And below the hill was a valley with flowers, a stream running through. The monks at this monastery raised all of their own food. And they had an orchard. They had winery. They raised goats. They had bees. They were self-sufficient. And people from the village would come and buy their products. And people beyond their village would come and buy their products because of the quality and just the beautiful surroundings. And they had a chapel. People from all over would come to spend time in their chapel. They were thriving. Those were good, good days. Over time, they lost the vision of what they were there for. And slowly, young men that were interested in joining them, that trickled. People stopped coming to the chapel as often, with fewer hands to take care of this big responsibility. The quality and the quantity of their products declined. And it came to the point where there was just a very small circle of monks left. They weren't sure what they were going to do. But one of the things that they truly loved was looking out their window in the evening and seeing down a path in the distance smoke coming from a cottage. In that cottage lived a retired rabbi. And he would sometimes come and pray with them or break bread with them. Well, the abbot of the monastery decided he was going to go and talk to the rabbi and see if he had any idea, any clue, any hints for them. So they had dinner together, had lovely time together. And the rabbi said, I know that you and your brothers are serving God, but with a heavy heart. And I know you came here for advice, and I don't have any advice for you. So they completed their time together, and the rabbi sent him on his way. And the abbot was down the path waving goodbye. And just before the rabbi closed the door, he said, I do know this, the Messiah is among you, and closed the door. Well, this surprised the abbot, as you can imagine. He went back to the monastery. He didn't sleep that night, tossing and turning about what this all meant, and kind of confused by the statement, and how did the rabbi know that, and just really perplexed. And the next morning at breakfast, the monks were all, sitting around, and one of them just couldn't take it anymore, and he said, what happened? What advice did the rabbi give you? He said, well, he told me that the Messiah is among us. And they're like, the Messiah is among us. So each of the monks started to consider one another. And they're like, well, certainly it's not Brother Mark. He is so cranky. And yet, he always shows up. He gets everything done. He's there when we need him. And surely it couldn't be Brother Thomas, because he has the attention span of a flea. We're always having to remind him what he's supposed to be doing, and yet he has the sweetest disposition. And over time, they started to look at one another differently. They started to consider one another differently and to consider themselves differently. They held this space of just true understanding and a sweet disposition among all of them in harmony. And it wasn't long before those who came to still come to the little chapel noticed this and would tell their friends. And more people came to the chapel. And then, because they had such excitement about it, they worked even harder and had products to sell. And then more young men started to want to join their order. And they thrived. They thrived once again. This story is known in its many variations as the rabbi's gift. The rabbi's gift. For he gifted them with the awareness of the divine. It reminds me of what I've heard during this past week, spending time with the monks. The Buddhist monks believe that within every living being, with no exception, is a pure heart. Everyone might be buried under some other stuff, but within every human being is a pure heart. And isn't that what we say? That the divine of God, that God is everywhere present within everyone, that God is good, therefore everyone is good, even those people we don't like or agree with or want to spend time with, or maybe even worse. That's the message that Jesus brought us, wasn't it? Jesus, our elder brother and way shower. He said, the kingdom of God is at hand. It's not some distant place. The kingdom of God is here. And that's where it resides, is right here. Last week we looked at radical self-awareness. And we gave ourselves the challenge of, through the week, trying to be aware and stop ourselves when we noticed we were not coming from our pure heart. We were not coming from the essence of God. We were reacting, and maybe even started to react, from our ego or from our subconscious, where we've put all the stuff that we hear on TV and opinions and things that are real and true and things that are totally not. And to pay attention to that. And today we're looking at deep self-acceptance. That's a tough one, isn't it? Because we are really hard on ourselves. We are so critical. We are so very critical of the things we've done or not done or said or didn't say. We think those things define us, and they do not. Those things do not define who we are. We have many roles in the world that we also identify with, and we think that's who we are. You know, we're a mom or a dad, we're a brother or a sister, we're an aunt or an uncle, we're a friend, we're a business owner, we're an entrepreneur, we're a doctor, we're a nurse. All those things. And those are part of our life for a very long time. And when those things go away, we don't know who we are if we've over-identified with them. Well, I was a business owner, but I'm retired now. Who am I? Or I was a husband, and my wife left me. Who am I now? You see how we do that. We can identify, and then when that's not there, we're left questioning. Or I'm a mom, but my kids don't need me to mom them in the way I used to. I can remember very distinctly, and this was about 38 years ago, my two oldest children, then ages 4 and 2, my youngest wasn't born yet, playing together. And I can see this in my mind even today. I know exactly where they were, I know where I was, and I had the thought, oh my goodness, they don't need me to entertain them as much anymore. That was not a relief to me. That was a bit of a panic. I'd waited a long time to be a mom, and I relished my role as mom. But there's a difference between how you mother an infant, and then a child, and then an older child, and then an adult. And it's a transition for them and for us to successfully make that. You know, I'm a cousin, you know. When we identify with those, we forget that we are so much more. We are so much more than those qualifiers that we put on ourselves, especially if we use the word only before what we're stating. Well, I only did this, or I was only this, as if we're diminishing ourselves. So I was on the phone the other day. I have a minister friend in Texas. Her name's Judy. And she loves telling me about new books that she's read that she thinks I would like to hear about. So I was on the phone with her, and it was not a good connection. And she's telling me about this book. And I said, well, what's the name of it? And she said, well, it's The Courage to Be the Light. And I thought, oh, that is so unity. I've got to buy that book. But the more she talked about things she'd gleaned from it and things she was trying out, I thought, I don't think I've Got that right. So I asked her to repeat the title. The title of this book is The Courage to Be Disliked. That's different, isn't it? And it comes with a companion book, The Courage to Be Happy. So this book is, both of these books are designed as a conversation. It's a student and a professor of psychology. And the question at hand is, how is one to be happy? And it's based on the work of Alfred Adler, who was, a king in psychology. We remember Jung and remember Freud, but we don't always remember Adler. It's based on that. But when I saw that title, even before I opened the book, I thought, the courage to be disliked, the courage to be happy. Do you think Jesus was concerned with either of those two things? Whether he was liked or whether he was happy? I don't think so. I think he was authentically himself, moving through this world with love and wisdom and compassion. He wasn't like a bull in a china shop. He was there to love people and to hopefully help them see how they could live the same way. Now, Jesus was liked, and he was loved, and he was hated, and he was despised. And I don't think that bothered him one little bit. He didn't come here for that reason. He didn't come to the earth as we all have been born into the earth and realized his oneness with the divine in order to just make everyone like him. He was brave in that way. It took great courage to say, this is who I am, and to not pay that much attention to human laws or religious laws. Oh, it's Sunday, I'm not supposed to heal, or it's Saturday, and I'm supposed to do that. He was himself authentically. How brave is that? It's hard not being liked, isn't it? We don't like it as humans. They teach us in seminary. I have a very simple job description. I'm here to love you. I'm here to love you. And my commitment to the board and to the members of this congregation is to bring lessons, messages to you that hopefully will spark something within you that you want to take with you, or look into more, or change your thoughts, something like that. We're also told in seminary that our role is to comfort the afflicted. Because if you're too comfortable, I'm not doing my job. Because what do we say about grow? That growth that we all want so much, it's ow. It's grow. It's not always like dancing through the meadow and picking flowers. It usually actually isn't. There's some pain involved as we let go of those things we no longer need. And there are people who like me and love me. There are people who don't and may speak ill of me. You know what? That's none of my business. What anyone thinks of me is absolutely none of my business. And that doesn't happen overnight because it's in our DNA. There was a time where if we weren't liked and accepted by the clan, we didn't have food, clothing, and shelter. And as women, we're raised to nurture and take care of and to be there and to do things for everyone. And as men, we're taught to sacrifice for the good of the family and the good of all. And those are wonderful things when they're in balance with also knowing we have to take care of ourselves. That we have to find that balance, that place that works for us. Because if it's not in our highest good, it's not in anyone's highest good. I know you might be thinking, but they need. But no, if it is not in your highest good, it cannot be in anyone else's highest good. And so as we look at deep self-acceptance, we begin by knowing fully that we are each worthy. We are each one of us worthy, just as we are. Not for anything we're doing, anything we did, anything we're going to do, but for as we are. You are worthy for who you are today, right now, in this moment. As we look at our love work, our homework assignment, Robert Brumet has this to say about this deep self-acceptance. Deep self-acceptance does not mean I enjoy every experience that arises. I may feel uncomfortable in this present experience. Acceptance is not the same as liking something. Deep acceptance means accepting my present internal experience completely as I act ethically and responsibly. It's allowing each experience to be what it is without interfering in any way, without trying to judge, control, interpret, to be present. And the more we understand that we are children of God, the more we can be present without any fear or agenda. We have nothing to prove to anyone at any time, but to be accepting of what is. Again, that doesn't mean we don't take some sort of action at some point, but we're not fighting against. When we resist what is happening in the world, and there's a lot to resist right now, what is happening in the world, we block our access to superconscious mind. Remember when we looked at the diagram last week? There's the external world, there's my conscious mind, there's my subconscious mind, and behind all that is universal life and love, superconscious. We want to tap into that in how we think and feel, not be reactive from our subconscious mind. And the more we resist anything, we are blocking our access to the divine. That's why we find it so easily when we go into the silence, when we go into prayer and meditation, we're like, oh, there it is. There's that wonderful sense. There's that guidance. There's that understanding. That's the creative, that inspiration. We'll say, that came out of the blue. It came out of the divine. It feels like it's out of the blue. And so, remember the rabbi's gift. And remember that if you want to see the face of God, all you need to do is look around the room. All you need to do is look at the faces of other people. And if you want to see the image of the divine closer, more intimately, look in the mirror. Look in the mirror. For you are each expressions of the divine. And the more we remember that, the more we remember that and remember that about everyone else, then we can make our way where we can behold the divine. We can still forget. We can stumble, and we will, and I do. We can stumble as we move into a greater grace and a greater wisdom, knowing that this is a place of love and peace, of safety, forgiveness, of graciousness. That's who you are. Carry this into this week. Maybe tape something on your mirror like, look at me, every time you walk by it. Remember, you are the face of God, and so is everyone else. We hold this now, right here. We hold what we've heard, what we're willing to accept, what our mind and our heart is willing to accept. We hold this right here. Breathe it in. And so it is. And we're going to take this message with us now as we're moving to our time of meditation. We are going to listen to the beautiful words of the music by our music team. As we move into our inner space, our inner place. Get comfortable where you're seated. Maybe raise your shoulders just ever so much. Lift your chin. Open that heart space and relax. Gift yourself with this time in the quiet, this inner, beautiful, peaceful place. We continue to move into that space of the light within. That light within that is more than a spark. It is more than a flicker. That light is the essence of our being. It is the essence of our truth. And in this space, we bask in this knowing that within each one of us is the wisdom of the ages, is such grace and compassion. And as we sit in this space of knowing, I ask you to allow the words I speak to be the words of your own heart. And anything doesn't fit, just allow it to fall away. I am one with the divine. I am one in the knowing that a pure heart resides within me, within all I know, and with all those who I do not know. I envision my world aglow with the light in every being. More light than there are grains of sand at the sea. More trees. More than anything that I can conceptualize. These lights that glow as who we are. That sometimes combine with others to glow even brighter. That essence, that light is available every time I turn within. Every time I seek just one quiet moment to acknowledge the divine within me. That light is aglow. I'm so grateful for knowing this. This oneness with the divine, this oneness with all beings. This connection that can never be broken. That the divine has always been with me, is now, and will always be. Because it is part of who I am. I envision this light now in my mind's eye. I allow myself perhaps to smile, to acknowledge, to embrace, to claim, to know I am a light. And as we rest in the moment, we allow the words of the song to continue to imprint on our hearts this truth, this day.
Turn my night to day. Take the hurt away. Help me to be with you. Lead me into the light.
And so it is.